In the village of Kamatasi, a village settled on the banks of the great river, which wound through the vast savannah, life was peaceful and steady. The people of Kamatasi were proud of their traditions, their heritage, and their courage. The men, in particular, were known throughout the land for their strength and their virality. To be a man of Kamatasi meant more than just having muscles or a deep voice. It meant power, respect, and a legacy that could not be questioned. Yet, despite the pride of the men, one morning everything changed. It began with Kwame, the most respected hunter in the village. The sun had not yet risen, but Kwame had already begun his morning routine, sharpening his spear as was his custom before a day in the wilds. As he stood before the mirror in his hut, preparing for the day's hunt, a deep unease gripped his chest. Something felt different. Something was wrong. He gazed at his reflection, looking over his muscular arms, his strong frame, but as his eyes drifted downward, his stomach dropped, his manhood gone. His heart pounded. He thought it was a trick of the lights, or perhaps the lingering effect of a strange dream. But when his trembling hand reached down, the truth became undeniable. He ran outside, calling for help. As he made his way through the village, he found that he was not the only one who had been afflicted. The men of Kamatasi, from the youngest warrior to the eldest elder, stood in disbelief, each man shocked by the emptiness that had invaded his body. The pride that had been their strength was gone. It was as if an unseen hand had taken something precious, something that could not be restored. Kwame gathered the village leaders, and a council was formed. The elders, seasoned and wise, called for immediate action. Old Tata, the most respected elder, stood before them. His ancient face was drawn tight with concern. He had seen many things in his time, but this was unlike anything he had ever encountered. "This is no ordinary misfortune," Old Tata said in his gravely voice, casting a sharp look at the men around him. "This is the work of something far darker, far more powerful. It is the work of Nashida." The name struck fear in the hearts of the men. Nashida was a legend, a name whispered in caution around campfires. She was a sorceress, a witch, rumored to be the most powerful woman ever born into their world. According to the tales passed down through generations, Nashida was once a beautiful and respected woman, but tragedy befell her when the men of Kamatasi, driven by fear and greed, wronged her family. They accused her people of witchcraft, a charge that led to their exile and eventual death. Nashida was the last of her line, and she had sworn vengeance upon every man in Kamatasi. Old Tata's voice trembled as he continued. She vowed that one day she would return to reclaim what was taken from her, and now it seems she has come. The news of the curse spread like wildfire throughout Kamatasi. The women, who had been unaffected, gathered in hushed conversations, uncertain of what to do. The men, once mighty and revered, now walked like shadows of their former selves. Their bodies were the same, but they had been stripped of their most essential strength. Tariq, the youngest of the village warriors, was among the hardest hit. He had been born to be a leader, strong, brave, and fiercely proud. He had been poised to become the next chief of Kamatasi, but now, like the others, he was empty, hollow, without the strength that had once defined him. He paced restlessly, unable to accept the helplessness that now gripped him. We cannot live like this, immortal. We cannot allow this curse to define us. Tariq's resolve hardened. He would find a way to restore the balance, to reclaim his village's honor. He sought out the elders once more, demanding to know what could be done. The only way to end this curse, old Tata said solemnly, is to find Nashida and seek her forgiveness. Only she can lift the curse. But beware, Tariq. She is not a woman to be trifled with. She has powers beyond your understanding. But Tariq's heart was set. He would venture into the wilds, into the heart of the jungle, where the last remnants of Nashida's power were said to dwell. He would find her and plead for the return of the stolen manhood of his people. Tariq's journey took him deep into the jungle, where the trees grew thick and the air was heavy with the scent of earth and mystery. He knew that Nashida's power was not to be underestimated. It was said that she could call upon the elements, summon wild beasts to do her bidding, and even manipulate the minds of those who came too close to her lair. But Tariq's heart burned with a single purpose: to restore his people. Days passed as he navigated through the jungle, fighting off serpents and navigating the thick undergrowth. He came across strange creatures, some helpful, others malevolent, each of them warning him to turn back. But Tariq pressed on, his resolve only growing stronger with each challenge. It wasn't until the 5th day that he finally saw her. She stood in a clearing, bathed in the soft light of the moon. Nashida was every bit as beautiful as the legends had described. Her skin was dark as polished stone, her hair flowing like a river of midnight, but it was her eyes that captivated Tariq. They were like twin orbs of fire, burning with a fierce intelligence that made him feel small and insignificant. "I've been expecting you, young warrior," she said, her voice smooth and haunting, like a melody that both comforted and unnerved him. Tariq took a deep breath and stood tall, despite the fear that gripped his heart. "You've cursed my people," he said, his voice firm. "You've stolen what belongs to us. I've come to ask you to undo your wrong." Nashida's lips curled into a smile. "You think I've wronged you?" she asked, her tone curious, almost amused. "You think your pride is yours to claim, when your ancestors stole everything from mine? When they drove my family to the edges of the earth and left us to die?" Tariq's heart clenched as she spoke. He had known none of this. His people had never told him the full story of what had transpired, but now, in the face of this powerful woman, he understood the depth of her pain. "I didn't know," Tariq said, his voice softer now, filled with regret. "But I will make it right. Please, take back your curse. The men of my village are lost without their pride." Nashida studied him for a long moment. Then she spoke, her voice quieter, yet still full of power. "If you wish to end this, Tariq, you must first understand what it means to lose your pride. I will not simply restore what was stolen. I will make you give up what you hold most dear." Tariq hesitated, but he was resolute. "I will do anything to restore my people." Nashida stepped forward and raised her hands, calling upon the magic that surged through the earth itself. Tariq felt the ground tremble beneath him, and a strange energy filled the air. "To break this curse, you must make a sacrifice," Nashida declared. "You will give up your pride, your strength, and your honor. You will become less than a man in the eyes of your people, but your village will be freed." Tariq looked into her eyes, searching for any sign of trickery, but he saw only pain and a long-forgotten hope. He stepped forward, his heart heavy, but his will unbroken. "I choose to stay. I will give up what is mine to restore my people." Nashida's eyes softened for a brief moment, and with a wave of her hand, the curse was lifted. Tariq felt his strength return, but he knew the cost. His pride, the thing that had defined him, was gone, and in that loss, he had broken the curse that had plagued his people. When Tariq returned to Kamatasi, the men of the village were restored. Their manhood, their strength had been returned to them, but they saw him, and they saw the sacrifice he had made. As he re-entered Kamatasi, he was greeted with awe by the men whose manhood had been restored, but there was something missing in his own heart. His body felt the same, yet his spirit was scarred. He had given up what made him who he was, a warrior, a leader, a symbol of strength. The villagers celebrated their restored manhood, but they failed to see the eternal emptiness that consumed him. He walked among them, his shoulders slumped, his heart heavy, knowing that the price for the village's salvation had cost him dearly. It was not long before Tariq began to feel the mockery that would follow his sacrifice. He had become something of a joke in the village. The men who had once looked up to him began to whisper behind his back. They no longer respected him the way they had before. They saw him as weak, a fool who had sacrificed everything for a fleeting hope. His once closest friends, the warriors he had fought alongside, mocked him for being so foolish. "You gave up your pride for nothing," one would sneer. "Now look at you, just like the rest of us." Tariq had no words to defend himself. He could not tell them the weight of the sacrifice, nor the truth that only he and Nashida knew. But deep down, every word stung like a fresh wound, and the mocking laughter seemed to echo in his mind long after it ceased. The sting of the mockery was nothing compared to the scorn he faced at home. His wife, Laila, had always been a supportive woman, proud of her husband's strength, but now she could not understand why he had given up everything for the village. One night, as they sat at their simple dinner table, Laila's voice broke through his thoughts. "Why, Tariq?" she asked, her voice trembling with anger and confusion. "Why did you let her take everything from you? For what? For a village that doesn't even appreciate you? Look at you now, reduced to nothing, a shadow of the man you once were." Her words, sharp and filled with bitterness, hit him harder than any sword. Tariq felt the weight of her disappointment, her insult like a heavy chain around his neck. He had hoped she would understand, that she would see his sacrifice as noble, but she too would only see his weakness. He spent nights lying awake, feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders. He had given up everything, and in return he had received nothing but mockery, scorn, and confusion from the people he had tried to save. His heart ached with the realization that perhaps the price had been too high. One afternoon, feeling the unbearable weight of his thoughts, Tariq wandered deep into the forest. The towering trees provided some comfort, their rustling leaves offering him a faint sense of peace. He sat against the trunk of a great tree, his back rough against his back, and closed his eyes, trying to clear his mind. He thought of his people, his village, and the curse that had befallen them. He thought of Nashida and the sacrifice he had made. In his moment of despair, as his heart sought solace from the oppressive thoughts, something stirred in the air. A presence, soft and light, seemed to hover around him. Tariq looked up, startled, but saw nothing. He closed his eyes again, trying to shake the strange feeling that had overcome him. Yet, in that moment, a whisper reached his ears, a voice so faint it could have been the wind, but he knew it wasn't. "You have given much, Tariq," the voice said, gentle yet firm. Your sacrifice has not gone unnoticed. Tariq's heart raised. He looked around, seeing no one, but he felt the presence growing stronger, like an unseen spirit that had come to him in his time of need. Who are you? Tariq asked, his voice shaky with both fear and curiosity. I am the spirit of the forest, the voice answered, calm and reassuring. I have watched over this land for centuries, protecting it from harm, and I have seen what you have done, how you gave up everything for your people. Tariq's mind was racing. But I lost everything. I lost my pride, my strength. I am nothing now. The spirit was silent for a moment. You may think you are nothing, but in your heart you remain the same. Your strength was never in your body, but in your spirit. You have given up what others would never dare to sacrifice, yourself. This is why you are worthy of the answers you seek. The spirit's words were like a balm to his wounded soul. For the first time in weeks, Tariq felt a sense of hope. The spirit continued. The village will face another trial soon, one that no one will be able to solve without your help. Tariq listened intently, wondering what the spirit meant. What must I do? He asked. There is a darkness creeping into Kamatasi, a new curse that threatens to undo everything. Only you, Tariq, can solve it, but the price for providing the solution will be steep. Tariq nodded, resolved to do whatever it took. I will do what I must. Upon returning to Kamatasi, Tariq found the village in chaos. Crops that had once flourished began to wither. The river, which had always been their lifeblood, began to dry up. The people whispered of a new curse, a greater evil that had taken root in their land. No one knew the cause, but the signs were clear. Kamatasi was in danger once again. The elders gathered, and once again they called upon the men and women of the village to seek the wisdom of the gods and spirits. They had done everything they could, but nothing worked. The people began to despair, and the once proud warriors began to lose hope. Tariq knew this was the moment the spirit had spoken of. With a heavy heart, he walked to the village square and stood before the gathered elders. I can solve this, he said, his voice steady despite the uncertainty that still gnawed at him. The others looked at him in surprise. You, Tariq? One elder asked. What can you do? The gods have abandoned us. What hope is there? I don't know what it is, but I believe I know the solution, Tariq said. Please trust me. And so, with the elders' reluctant blessing, Tariq set out to find the source of the new curse. The spirit had spoken of a hidden force, something that was draining the life from the land. Tariq wandered into the heart of the forest, calling upon the spirit for guidance. Soon enough, he stumbled upon an ancient shrine, hidden beneath the dense trees. The shrine had long been forgotten, its meaning lost to time. It was there that Tariq discovered the truth. The curse was a manifestation of an old god, one that had once been worshipped by the people of Kamatasi. The god had been angry at the villagers' neglect of their traditions, and now it sought vengeance. With the guidance of the spirit, Tariq performed an ancient ritual, one that had not been used in generations. He called upon the god to return to the heavens, promising that the people of Kamatasi would once again honor the old ways. As he finished the ritual, the skies cleared, the crops began to flourish, and the river returned to its normal flow. The curse had been broken. The village rejoiced at the miracle Tariq had performed. The elders, once doubtful of him, now saw the truth. Tariq had saved them, but their gratitude went further than they ever expected. The spirit of the forest appeared before the people once more, and it spoke in a voice that filled the air with power. Tariq, the man who has given up everything for his people, who sacrificed his pride and strength, has proven himself worthy. I offer him the kingdom of Kamatasi. The villagers gasped. The current king, an elderly man named Okoro, had led the village for many years, and many others were next in line to inherit the throne. They immediately protested the idea of a new king, but the spirit's power was undeniable, and the people knew that Tariq was the only one who had the wisdom and strength to lead them. After much deliberation, the villagers reluctantly agreed. Tariq was crowned their king, and with it, he regained the honor and respect he had lost. But more importantly, he had found peace within himself. As King Tariq, he ruled with wisdom and humility, always remembering the price he had paid and the lesson he had learnt. True strength lies not in one's body or pride, but in the heart and in the spirit. He had reclaimed his honor, and with it, he led Kamatasi into an era of peace and prosperity.